What if the reason your last year felt so frustrating wasn't bad luck or bad timing, but simply that you were running on outdated systems while the world quietly upgraded around you? That's worth sitting with as we step into a new year. Welcome to the Emma Quinn Show. I'm Emma, and Happy New Year. But before you scroll past another New Year, New You speech, stick with me because today we're not doing resolutions or vision boards. We're going to talk about something that will actually determine whether this year is different. Your willingness to stop being the bottleneck in your own life and start building systems that work even when you're not working. As we turn the calendar, most people are making lists, goals, intentions, things they want to achieve, habits they want to build, weight they want to lose, money they want to make. And look, there's nothing wrong with that. But here's the uncomfortable pattern. Most of those lists look almost identical to last year's lists and the year before. So the question isn't, what do I want this year? The real question is, why didn't last year's wants actually happen? Usually, it's not motivation, it's infrastructure. You were trying to run a 2025 life on a 2019 operating system. Let's talk about what's actually shifted while many of us were busy being busy. The barrier to building software has collapsed. Tools like Google AI Studio and workflow platforms like N8N now let you build apps, automate processes, and connect systems without writing a single line of code. This isn't some distant future. This is now. The wealth gap going forward isn't going to be about who works hardest. It's going to be about who thinks in systems versus who stays stuck doing tasks. So, as you set your intentions for this year, ask yourself honestly, are you planning to work more or are you planning to build things that work for you? Where people go wrong every January is they add more to their plate without removing anything or automating anything. They say, this year I'll post more content, but they're still editing every video by hand. They say, this year I'll grow my business, but they're still manually answering every email, copying every invoice, chasing every lead themselves. That's not a growth plan. That's a burnout plan with a bow on it. If a task happens more than twice, it should be automated. That's not laziness, that's leverage. Tools like N8N can connect your email to your CRM to your project manager. You set it up once, it runs forever. That's the kind of infrastructure most people ignore while they're busy writing goals in pretty notebooks. And here's what makes this even more important right now. We're in the first January where these tools are genuinely accessible to everyone. A year ago, half of what I'm describing either didn't exist or was still buggy enough that you needed a developer to make it work. Now you can sit down this weekend with zero technical background and have a functioning automation running by Sunday night. The excuse of "I'm not technical" doesn't hold anymore. The only real barrier is whether you're willing to spend 3 hours learning something new instead of spending 300 hours this year doing the same repetitive task manually. Now, here's something to consider as you think about the year ahead: the faceless economy. We've all been told to build a personal brand, show your face, be authentic, and that still works. But there's a quieter lane opening up where people are building entire content machines without ever turning on a camera. Voice cloning tools like 11 Labs, video generation tools, avatar creators, you can now produce daily content from a script without being on all the time. Why does that matter for your new year? Because if your entire strategy depends on you showing up, feeling good, being energized every single day, you've built a very fragile system. What happens when you're sick, burned out, just not in the mood? The people who win long term are building assets that keep producing even when they step away. As you plan this year, ask, what can I build once that keeps working while I sleep? Let's talk specifically about content, because almost everyone says they want to create more this year. The mistake is thinking virality is about one perfect piece. It's not. It's about volume plus retention. One long-form video or podcast episode can become 50 short-form clips using tools like Opus Clip or Veed. You're not creating more, you're extracting more from what you already create.
If you're still editing every clip manually, you're competing against people who do in 10 minutes what takes you 10 hours. Same talent, completely different output. So this year, instead of saying, I'll post more, say, I'll build a system that turns one piece of content into 20. That's a sustainable resolution. Here's an uncomfortable truth to carry into the new year. Most of us are digital sharecroppers. We build on platforms we don't own, using tools we don't control. YouTube changes an algorithm, your reach disappears. An API gets shut down, your workflow breaks. This isn't a reason to avoid these platforms, but it is a reason to be strategic about where your real leverage is. The hidden opportunity isn't just using AI tools, it's building simple layers on top of them for specific audiences. A wrapper business. You take powerful but confusing technology and package it for people who just want a solution. That's where real ownership lives. As you plan this year, think, am I just renting or am I building something I actually own? There's a mindset shift that separates people who have breakthrough years from people who just survive another 12 months. It's the difference between being a worker and being an architect. The worker asks, what do I need to do today? The architect asks, what can I design once so this never needs doing again? The worker optimizes their to-do list. The architect questions whether half the list should exist at all. This year, before you add anything new to your plate, try the 10% deletion rule. If you can't identify at least 10% of your current tasks to eliminate or automate, you're not being aggressive enough. Most people try to do more faster. The real move is to do less smarter. And let me be specific about what that looks like practically. Walk through your average Tuesday. What did you do between 9 a.m. and noon? How much of that was high-value thinking, strategy, creating something new, and how much was copy-paste, reformatting, sending the same email for the 10th time, updating a spreadsheet, scheduling posts one by one? If more than half your morning was low-value repetition, you just identified your automation target. That's not a someday project, that's this month's focus. Because every hour you spend on tasks a computer should handle is an hour you're not spending on the things only you can do. And here's the truth underneath all the tools and tactics. Speed now beats polish. The people who win aren't perfecting things for months. They're shipping good enough in days, learning from real feedback and iterating while others are still planning. AI makes this possible. You can generate, test, and refine ideas faster than ever before, which means spending 6 months on a perfect launch while others have already tested 10 versions. That's not quality. That's fear disguised as professionalism. This year, give yourself permission to be fast and imperfect rather than slow and invisible. So, as we start this year, I want you to consider something. There's a divide forming. On one side, people who spend their days doing what algorithms and systems tell them to do, tagging, following sequences, reacting. On the other side, people who design the systems, set the automations, architect the workflows. Same technology, completely different position in the game. The line between those two isn't talent or luck, it's mindset. It's whether you still see yourself as the worker or whether you're ready to become the architect of something bigger than your daily to-do list. So here's my question for you as this new year begins, and I want you to really sit with this one. If you look honestly at how you spent your last year, what percentage was truly building something with lasting leverage, and what percentage was just you being the manual engine for systems that should have been automated long ago? And what would it take to flip that ratio this year?